the seventh year. We started in 2020 in Mission Espada. This is our seventh consecutive year celebrating the participation of Coahuiltecans and Tejanos in the American Revolutionary War. And we'll do some introductory remarks about history, which will give us the context, the historical context of this participation. As you all know, Spain had several viceroyalties in the American continent. The biggest and the most important one was New Spain, La Nueva España, the viceroyalty of New Spain. And this was a very rich in terms of production of minerals, agriculture, cattle, was exceptionally rich. So Spain started extracting gold and especially silver in the 1500s and ended up in the 1800s after the independence of Mexico. But during the time of the New Spain, the participation in terms of economic supply for Spain was tremendously important. And Spain basically financed everything from the treasure that brought from New Spain to Spain. So Spain helped to finance the American Revolution, not with the treasure that they had in Europe, but with the treasure that they had in New Spain. And when Spain went to war against Britain to support the American Revolutionary War, they asked every person that was a male of adult to give 2 silver coins. It was a tax for the American Revolutionary War, and to the indigenous people they asked 1 silver coin. So they accumulated a lot of silver to support the American Revolutionary War, but the help was not only with silver and with gold, it was also with ammunition, with armament, and with cattle. And when we get into the cattle, they resources that from the missions of Bejar, including the 5 missions of San Antonio and the mission of Bahía del Espíritu Santo, they were cattle producers, so they took the cattle. Now, the Tejanos also helped about the Tejanos. By that time, it was already almost 3 centuries after the conquest of Mexico. So by that time, the population was mestizo. We can call them Mexicanos, non-Hispanics, but basically this population were already mestizos. And this is the population, together with the indigenous people, that helped in this effort to support the American Revolutionary War. So this is the context, the historical context in which we are presenting this program with music of the time and highlighting the Coahuiltecan participation of the 5 nations of Bejar. colonies was striving for more territories in the northeastern American region. The British had already acquired Florida and Las Bahamas, places that had been under the control of Spain.
De la Sierra Morena, de la Sierra Morena, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, un par de ojitos negros de contrabando. De la Sierra Morena, de la Sierra Morena, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, un par de ojitos negros de contrabando. Ay, 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 vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros de contrabando.
1746 was remarkable because Bernardo de Galvez Madrid was born in La Charabiaya, a village in the province of Malaga, Spain. His military life, representing the Spanish crown, would encounter the destiny of the northern provinces of New Spain, especially Texas, and the future of Britain's 13 colonies. Bernardo de Galvez followed his family military tradition. He volunteered at age 16 to fight in the French-Spanish War against Portugal, an ally of the British. By age 20, Bernardo rose to the rank of captain and was assigned to the northern provinces of New Spain to appease Apache tribes. He stationed his forces in Chihuahua, the military capital of the northern provinces. In Chihuahua, he learned about the abundance of longhorn cattle in the plains of Texas. The Franciscan friars had brought into Texas the strong-out longhorn breed. Coahuiltecan vaqueros learned all the ropes of Novo-Hispanic cattle farming and vaquero crafts from the southern provinces of New Spain. Each mission in Texas had one or several cattle ranches with hundreds and some with thousands of longhorn heads. In Beja, its 5 prosperous missions along the Rio San Antonio excelled in their longhorn cattle production in the respective ranches. From north to south, the Mission San Antonio de Valero, Mission Purísima Concepción de Acuña, this mission, Mission San José y San Miguel de Aguayo, Mission San Juan Capistrano, and Mission San Francisco de la Espada. The Grand Land Tejanos had successful cattle ranches, each with its unique branding iron mark.
Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. Mother, I will run to camp, all you have to do. We saw the men and boys as they
The northeastern colonies of Great Britain revolted against the English monarchy. The patriots of Massachusetts rejected unfair impositions of taxes. The revolt became a revolutionary movement of independence that included all 13 colonies. On July 4, 1776, 58 patriots signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia. The American Revolution should have exploded at the world level. France, Spain, and the Dutch Republic backed the efforts of the American independentists.
La petenera, señores, no hay, y en la cepa canta. La petenera, señores, no hay, y en la cepa canta. Solo los marineritos que navegan en la mar, solo los marineritos que navegan en la mar. Yo soy la vela de cera que te ha solido alumbrar. Yo soy la vela de cera que te ha solido alumbrar. Solo los marineritos que navegan en la mar, solo los marineritos que navegan en la mar.
In 1777, Bernardo de Galvez, then 31 years old, was appointed governor of Louisiana by King Carlos III of Spain. Since Galvez's arrival to Louisiana, he helped the American independentists informally and secretly, sending armaments for their cause.
There was Captain Washington upon a sleeping stallion, giving orders to his men. At least there was a million landing where we led up, landing go by. Find the music of the step, the ghostly man, and the feathers on his hat looked so very fine. I want to extremely to them to get together now.
The patrons of the 13 colonies organized the Continental Army under the leadership of George Washington. In the Battle of Saratoga on September 19, 1777, Washington defeated the British with the help of the French army. The Continental Army was encouraged by this victory to continue their fight for independence. Spain declared war on Great Britain on May 8, 1779, becoming an official ally of the American revolutionaries. The support of the northern provinces of New Spain would prove strategically vital for the battles against the British Crown. That's the end of Spain. The governor of Louisiana, Bernardo de Galvez, was instructed by King Carlos III to organize a military campaign against the British along the Mississippi River and the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. For the remainder of the Revolutionary War, Galvez communicated directly with Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, Generals Charles Henry Lee, Captain George Gibson, Oliver Pollock, children of soldiers of diverse ethnic origins, all of them fighting in favor of the American independence. Bernardo de Galvez' second challenge was to sustain a sizable army for a lengthy military campaign against the British. The solution was the cattle of Texas. He sent a letter with his envoy, Francisco Garcia, requesting Domingo Cabello, the governor of Texas, to drive long-term cattle from Texas to Louisiana to have food for his army. Garcia delivered Galvez's letter to Cabello on June 20, 1779. The two governors authorized the first cattle driving in the two Novo-Hispanic provinces. President of all the missions of Texas, with residence in Mission San Jose and San Miguel de Aguayo, to provide long-term cattle from the ranches of the missions of Texas for the Spanish Army in support of the American independence against the British. Father Pedro called Coahuiltecan Jose Mateo to confer with him about the Texas governor's petition. Jose Mateo was an indigenous Tacame born in Mission San Jose. He knew the art of powder and was in charge of the cattle ranches of the San Jose Mission. He also knew the trade of blacksmithing and saddlery needed to be a good vaquero or cowboy. Jose Mateo's love and respect for nature, learned from his Tacame Coahuiltecan ancestor, blended perfectly with St. Francis of Assisi teachings to love nature and animals. Those teachings led him to be an accomplished cattle rancher. At 25, he became the head vaquero, or caporal, of the cattle ranches of San Jose. Furthermore, Jose Mateo knew the other Coahuiltecan vaqueros in charge of the cattle ranches of the four nearby missions, the Bayaya and Jarame vaqueros of Mission San Antonio de Valero, the Malaguita and Patalca vaqueros from Purísima Concepción, the Pajalat vaqueros from San Juan Capistrano, and the Pacao vaqueros from San Francisco de la Espada, who owned the most successful cattle ranches de las Cabras.
Pues concebida fuiste sin mancha, Ave María, llena de gracia.
for Bernardo de Galvez's army. We all know that our soldiers need good food to excel in combat. We will do it in the name of God, of Jesus Christ, of St. Francis of Assisi, and for our King Carlos III. The Coahuiltecans living in the missions worked diligently to round up as many longhorn heads as they could from all the ranches of the 5 missions. They also got several hundred heads from Presidio de Béjar, Fuerte Cíbolo, Presidio La Bahía, and Mission Espíritu Santo at La Bahía. The Grand Tejano ranchers also provided several hundred herds of longhorn cattle. Besides, the missions and ranches supplied hundreds of horses to the American independentists for artillery and mounted army use. Which was the ancestor of the corrido in northern Mexico or the northern provinces. So the saetas also was a quatrain versus poem, and we kind of reconstructed the saeta del arreo del canal del Puerto Largo from different verses that we found and reconstructed with the music of the time in terms of a quatrain saeta structure. It was the first cattle drive out of the province of Texas. Vaqueros Tejanos, mostly Coahuiltecans, organized in groups of 10 or 15, drove the cattle for almost a month with herds of about 1,000 heads each. Soldiers from Presidio de Béjar and Presidio de La Bahía escorted them for the safe arrival of the longhorn cattle drives to their destination. From Béjar, the cattle drives went to La Bahía, northeastward to Nacoloches and Navajos, and from there to Opelousas on the border of Louisiana. From 1779 to 1782, the Coahuiltecan and Tejano vaqueros drove almost 15,000 longhorn heads to the army of General Galvez.
La pertenencia
size of 7,000 by 1782. The welfare soldiers of the army of General Galvez brought excellent battle outcomes. At the end of August 1779, the Spanish army defeated the British at Manchac, Baton Rouge, and Natchez. Bernardo de Galvez and his troops got control of New Orleans and the Mississippi River, sending through its waters supplies to General Washington's Continental Army, ammunition, arms, artillery, food, medical supplies, and clothes for uniforms. In February of 1780, Galvez and his army started a siege at Fort Charlotte at Mobile. On March 14, they captured the fort from the British. From there, Galvez's military campaign advanced following the Gulf Coast. Attacking by land and sea the port of Pensacola, the British capital of the West, Florida. Galvez commanded more than 7,000 men, including part of the French fleet, in the 2-month siege of Fort George, and it was finally captured on May 10, 1781. Then, General Galvez reprovisioned the French fleet with money and supplies, dismissing the French to sail north to support George Washington on the East Coast.
Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cup and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the steps and with the girls be handy.
The French fleet arrived in time to help the Continental Army defeat the British Army, led by Lord Cornwallis at Yorktown. The British raised the white flag in Yorktown to George Washington's Continental Army. The American Revolutionary War was over on October 19, 1781. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris established the terms to end the war against the British Empire, assuring the independence of the United States of America. Bernardo de Galvez helped to draft some of its final terms. General George Washington invited General Galvez to the United States Victory Parade in Philadelphia in July 1783. Bernardo de Galvez sustained his army on the southeastern front in the battles against the British along the Floridas, the Mississippi River, and the Gulf Coast. Now we have a list with the names of the Tejano patriots that were recorded in the archives that we have in Bihar. But we hope that in the future we can also read the names of Coahuiltecans that helped in the cattle drives to Louisiana. So we're going to read the names, and you can say presente after each name. This is the Tejas Patriot Soldiers of Presidio of San Antonio de Bejar, roster of January 2nd, 1782, 108 men. They provided military and economic support to the American Revolutionary War from 1779 to 1783. We have the name of Jose Mateo from San Jose Mission, so we will start with him representing all the Coahuiltecans. Jose Mateo.
Presente. José Ramón Flores de Ábrego.
Presente.
Domingo Diego Acosta.
Presente.
Second Alfares Francisco Amacual.
Presente.
Fernando de Arocha.
Presente.
José de Arocha.
Presente.
Antonio Vaca,
Presente.
José Antonio Vaquero, Manuel Verbán,
Presente.
Marcelo Borrego,
Presente.
Juan José Bueno.
Presente.
Captain and Governor Domingo Cabello.
Presente.
Juan Canela.
Presente.
Juan José Canela.
Presente.
Romer Juan José Calderón.
Presente.
First Captain Francisco Camacho.
Presente.
Diego Carmona.
Presente.
Juan Casanova.
Presente.
Juan Antonio Casanova.
Presente.
Francisco de Castro.
Presente.
Manuel Martín de Castro.
Presente.
Francisco Sales de la Cerda.
Presente.
Juan Chirino.
Presente.
Pedro Chirino.
Presente.
Juan José Córdoba.
Presente.
Andrés Curiel.
Presente.
Pedro José Enrique,
Presente.
José Farías,
Presente.
Second Lieutenant Bernardo Fernández,
Presente.
José Flores,
Presente.
Second Corporal José Antonio Flores,
Presente.
Lorenzo Flores,
Presente.
Manuel Flores,
Presente.
Pedro Flores,
Presente.
Ignacio Flores.
Presente.
Vital José Miguel Gámez.
Presente.
Eusebio de la Garza.
Presente.
José de la Garza.
Presente.
José Alejandro de la Garza.
Presente.
José Antonio Mariano Matías y Pedro de la Garza.
Presente.
José Antonio Gómez.
Presente.
Antonio Vicente González.
Presente.
José Manuel y Sargento Pedro Granados.
Presente.
Cristóbal Guerra.
Presente.
Bonifacio Hernández,
Presente.
Carlos Hernández,
Presente.
José Agustín Hernández,
Presente.
Pedro Hernández.
Presente.
Francisco Antonio Leal.
Presente.
Cadete Nicolás M.
Presente.
José Gil de Leyoa.
Presente.
Francisco Lozoya.
Presente.
Tomás de Luna.
Presente.
Facundo Manzolo,
Presente.
José Manzolo,
Presente.
Pedro Manzolo,
Presente.
Antonio Martínez,
Presente.
Manuel Leandro Martínez,
Presente.
First Lieutenant José Menchaca,
Presente.
José Bruno Menchaca,
Presente.
Invalid Pedro Millón,
Presente.
Pedro Montalvo.
Presente.
José María Olivares.
Presente.
Francisco Redal.
Presente.
Pedro Antonio Ortiz.
Presente.
José Francisco Padilla,
Presente.
Second Sergeant Domingo Pérez,
Presente.
Francisco Xavier Pérez,
Presente.
José Joaquín Pérez,
Presente.
First Corporal Pedro Pérez,
Presente.
Ignacio Pérez.
Presente.
Jacinto Ramón.
Presente.
Manuel Ramón.
Presente.
Ventura Rico.
Presente.
Pablo del Río.
Presente.
Third Sergeant Mariano Rodríguez.
Presente.
Patricio Rodríguez.
Presente.
Prudencio Rodríguez.
Presente.
Bartolomeo Rosales.
Presente.
José de Sosa de Rosas.
Presente.
Francisco de Sales Gámez,
Presente.
Francisco Sales de la Cerda,
Presente.
Manuel Salinas,
Presente.
Francisco Sánchez,
Presente.
José Miguel Sánchez,
Presente.
Second Corporal Juan José Sánchez,
Presente.
Second Corporal Francisco de los Santos,
Presente.
Second Corporal Francisco Javier de Sosa,
Presente.
Juan Remigio de Torres.
Presente.
Lázaro de Torres.
Presente.
José María Uraga,
Presente.
Francisco Antonio Urrutia,
Presente.
José Antonio Urrutia,
Presente.
First Sergeant Manuel de Urrutia,
Presente.
Alfares Marcelo Valdés.
Presente.
Andrés del Valle.
Presente.
Francisco de Villafranca,
Presente.
Manuel Villarreal,
Presente.
Alexandro Hidalgo,
Presente.
Álvarez Juan José Hidalgo,
Presente.
Javier Cepeda.
Presente.
Come join hand in hand, brave American song, and rouse your bold hearts at her liberty's call. No tyrannous shall oppress your just claim, or stain with dishonor America's name.
The Liberty Song was written and sang before the American hymn, so we wanted you to listen to this Liberty Song. And with this, we end the program, and we hope that you liked it. And we can answer questions if you have any. And we thank you for being with us this 4th of July, celebrating and honoring the Coahuiltecans of the missions and their contribution to the American Revolutionary War.